Have you ever found yourself in victimland? Listen, if you're a victim due to another person's actions or a situation you are not in control of, then you are a victim. I get that. I became a victim when my daughter headed into her addiction and spent half of her 30 years in a horrible world of chaos and drama and danger. I was a victim when she was shot the first time at the age of 18. Thankfully, she survived, but I was also a victim when she was murdered at the age of 30. My husband and I were a victim of a friend who stole our savings. We can become victims for many, many reasons, and it's not our fault. But remaining a victim winds up being a choice. See, there's no power in victimland. I have this visual. In fact, I first introduced it in my book, Misery, You Don't Get My Company, and it was the first book I wrote after Jamie's death. And I described this victimland. And see, at first it's really, really enticing because finally, this place seems to be full of people who get it, people who have been where you are, people who understand, people who can commiserate and sympathize with you. That feels good at first, especially if you've been living in a world where most people or all the people in your life don't understand. They haven't experienced what you have. So finally, you're people. Oh my gosh, it feels great. But let me describe to you just what victimland is like. Well, first of all, the biggest problem in victimland is it's full of victims. But what happens is, you know how people try to one-up each other and give you a better story than yours? Well, it's the opposite in victimland. Everybody's trying to one down each other. Oh yeah, you think your story's bad? Wait till you listen to mine. I mean, again, at first it might seem as if you found your people, but it doesn't take long before hearing one sad story after the next leaves you depressed and hopeless and helpless. Have you ever been to Disneyland? Well, Disneyland is full of these lands. Tomorrowland, Fantasyland. These lands take you, they transform you to another place. They're fun, they're exciting, they have rides. Victimland is a little simpler. Victimland has only one ride. It is called the roller coaster from hell, and it doesn't stop. You get on it and you ride it over and over and over continuously. It doesn't stop unless you decide to make it stop. Victimland has that roller coaster from hell. Here's the good news. You won't be alone. But you only get to ride it with one other being, and that will be your beast. You know, the thing that has you down in the first place, the thing that keeps you covered in shame and guilt and helplessness and hopelessness, that has you living in fear and reliving your traumas over and over and over. Yeah, that's the guy that's riding with you. As a matter of fact, he's at the controls. In Victimland, what's really cool is on every corner, there are movie theaters. So you can pop in anytime. They're free. You can pop in anytime. And playing on the big screen just might be your sad story. Yep, you can watch it, you can relive it, and you know what? It's on a loop. You don't even have to look for the start time of the movie. Once it ends, it starts again. Now, if you get tired of hearing your own story, you can just walk across the street to another theater and jump in and start watching somebody else's sad story. So, I mean, if that's not enough for you to want to get out of victimland, music is playing continuously throughout the land. All sad, depressing songs. They're not songs of victory. They're not songs of hope. It's all to keep you down and keep you stuck in victimland. Victimland covers you in layers of shame and guilt to the point where you can feel every one of those layers weighing down on you, covering you, making it even hard to walk. Is that the way you want to live? Of course not. Covered in shame and guilt and reliving sadness with no hope, no expectancy for the future. No, no, no. Here's the thing. You got into victimland and you became one of two victims. I call them the victim in disguise and the poor me victim. The poor me victim is the kind that is constantly talking about your problems. It seems like Victimland would only be filled with these people based on what I've described so far, right? But stay tuned. In Victimland, yes, these are the people who, in fact, a lot of times will say, "Oh, I don't want anybody to worry about me. I don't need any help." And they're constantly telling you about their problems and no solutions. Lots of times they have that passive aggressive attitude. Now listen, if that's you, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm trying to open up your eyes, because this is not where you belong. The second kind of victim was me, the victim in disguise. Now we're the ones running around Victimland pretending that everything is okay. But we get back to our little cubby. Yeah, you live in a little cubby there. You don't live in some mansion. When you get back to your little cubby, it reminds me of Harry Potter when Harry Potter had to live under the stairs. So you get into your little room there and you wonder why nobody's asking about your story, why they're not in watching your movie, why they're always watching other people's movies. What about you? Well, it's because you are acting like everything's okay. So we're left feeling cynical and upset with people, not understanding why it seems like nobody cares. No matter which type of victim you are, it is not good. It is time for you to get out of Victimland. And the first thing you have to do is get off that roller coaster from hell. Remember, I said the beast is at the controls and he's just riding that thing around. And you're going painfully up one hill and screaming down the next, terrified of what's around the next corner. That's how it works on the roller coaster from hell. There is no natural stop. There's no end point. You might be like I was, wanting God to reach down and yank you off, waiting for somebody to save you from this roller coaster from hell, to get you away from your beast. Well, here's the real true fact, my friend. It is your responsibility. You are going to have to reach down and pull the emergency brake and get off. And no matter how many friends you found in Victimland, it's time for you to head for the border. Cross back into the land of the living, into the land of hope, and never look back. It's time for you to leave Victimland forever. It's time for you to disrupt your trauma for good. One of the very best things you can do is join my new Trauma Disruptors memberships. But at time of recording, we don't have them available yet. We will have them ready to go in September. And I hope you will join us. In the meantime, go to traumadisruptors.com or go to valeriesilvera.com and you'll see a link to our Trauma Disruptors community. This is a free community. Anyone can join. It's a safe place for us to begin that hope and healing. Guess what? It's full of people who used to live in Victimland and some who still are. This is your place for hope and healing. This is where you begin to disrupt your trauma for good. You're not alone. You don't have to do this alone. I'm standing right there with you.